Hi, everybody. This is Jessica Motter, author of Love Life, Be Life, Share Life podcast and book, the Empowering Freedom podcast. I'm so excited to be with you today. I am here with my guest, Greg. Greg is amazing. We've been connecting here through a mutual friend, Lindsay Rose. And so he is in California. I'm in Kansas. So I love Zoom and how we can connect with others in this virtual world. So Greg, you were starting to share some great information. I'm like, hold on, let me get that recorded so we can share this with the world, right?
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Jessica, for inviting me on today. I'm going to share a little bit about my background and my area of expertise. So, everything in life I want to share beginning, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus. Everything I'm going to share with you today is from a humble confidence. We go through life and we have our journey. So everyone has their own story. So I always tell people, just tell people your story, because that's the truth. And so for me, my background, my name is Gregory Allen Soper. My initials spell gas. So I was labeled the gassy kid. When I grew up, I had two brothers and a sister. So we'd be driving in the car. I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota. And I grew up there till I was 21, and then I moved to California. But during those early years, great family life, the lake season, the Midwest, just loved it. We'd go to the lakes, and I always tell my family, look, I'm a celebrity. Why do you say that? Well, everywhere we go, it says next exit gas. My name was on billboards. The thing is, I'm going to teach you a very successful principle, the principle of creation. What you speak out of your mouth becomes reality. So remember, I was telling my family, look, I'm a celebrity, right? I didn't know how that would impact my life years later, but it did. So I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, went to school there, great atmosphere, great environment. And then at 21, I had a once in a lifetime opportunity. Once in a lifetime opportunity. And that's so true. Some of us get that, some of us don't. So when you seize an opportunity, you either take it or you don't. So this was a no-brainer. I found out, well, I knew this for many years, that in my bloodline, my family, I had a very famous, world famous celebrity. And she just wasn't any celebrity. She was one of the top celebrities in the world. At one time, she was acclaimed to be the most beautiful woman in the world. She was one of the first women celebrities to launch her own perfume line, was endorsements, fitness centers. So her name is Linda Evans. She starred originally in the Big Valley, and then she caught her break on Dynasty. And then, of course, she was endorsing a lot of products. So her last name is really Evanstedt. That's my mother's maiden name, okay? So I met Linda. I met her family, her sisters. So what I did, I was 21. I dropped out of college. I'm not a quitter. The only thing I ever quit in my life, I have to say this, I did quit college because I had a once in a lifetime opportunity to go meet her. So think about, you need to know this, in the Midwest, we're not into glitz or glamour. We're not into, celebrities, popularity. We're just family oriented. All we care about is activities, softball, drinking beer, family, lake season, having fun. Focus on your family, focus on having an enjoyable life. We don't care about Hollywood. But because I had a famous celebrity, I thought, I want to go meet her. So when the opportunity came, I seized the moment. I drove all the way to California, spent the summer there, got to know her, picked her brain, and I asked her one specific question. I wanted to know how you became so successful. Greg, it's not talent, it's not drive, it's not ambition. It's all about connections, and connections. So it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I didn't realize years later how that would impact my life. So for me, that was what I learned. So my college education was based upon me meeting a cousin who happened to be the top 1%er of our industry. So then forward fast, I moved up to Northern California and got a job there as a gas station manager. Then would later on join the union carpenter, become a union carpenter. So I had a one life-defining moment that changed my life forever. And it's happened 40 years ago. So I'll share with you what happened. And then I'll share as a result of that, how my life changed. So my soulmate was killed by a drunk driver 300 feet from my front door. And that changed my world because, I accept death. We all know we're going to die. So that's part of life. But the little details, how it happened, where it happened. And, she was pulled up by the jaws of life. She was on life support. She was a nurse. And the parents pulled the plug after 2 days because there was no brain activity. So she died at the age of 23. I was 24. And that taught me many things. It taught me, number one, God doesn't promise you tomorrow. So live every day like it's your last. As a result of that, I would become a people person. I was a very aggressive achiever, in your face type of person, my way or the highway. I knew how to get results. But then I flipped the switch. I became a people person. I actually began to start listening. I began to actually start caring about people and feelings. Okay. So 18 months later, I became a Christian, baptized, came up through the baptism waters as a Christian, blessed with many spiritual gifts, some of which were teaching, encouraging, and I was blessed with the gift of inspiration. I was also blessed in the gift of music as a singer-songwriter. I performed for 20 years. So the church was a great platform. It allowed me to do public speaking, sharing, and mastering my craft of public speaking. So during the time of ministry, I was sharing, doing Bible studies. I was filling in for preachers. I was blessed a handful of times to preach at an all-Black church in Oakland. I was a singer-songwriter, performed with a couple of recording artists, and it was just, life was full. You know, it was like, this is amazing. I got involved with the networking business in the 90s. I love networking. And then, I decided to go into real estate investing, which was a great industry. I became very, very successful. But as all the money that I had made 1.2 million in 3 years. During the foreclosure crisis, I lost most of it. So I hired an attorney, started all over, was able to keep some of my properties, and then I got involved where I am today, where I actually do a part-time networking business. But my expertise now is I actually want to train and empower people how to build your business, whether it's a traditional business, a networking business. And I tell people this all the time, whatever business you do, you're really in the people business, because people join you. They don't join your company. And if you have a brick and mortar business, you don't get customer service unless you have great people skills. So my background, having been given the understanding of empathy, realizing the different principles in life, that you only get what you focus on, and you have to focus on what it is your purpose in life is. So people ask me, Greg, what's your purpose? And I say very simply, my purpose in life, I'm a heart stretcher. I was born to stretch hearts. Just like when a rubber band gets stretched, it never returns to its original size. So same thing happens with your heart. So once in your lifetime, you may come across a person who might come in your life for a moment, a season, a reason, or a lifetime. And you got to grab that person's coattail. And I share this very humbly. I'm one of those types of people because God gave me this unique gift of inspiration. And I share this, that whenever I speak with two hearts, not with one. So when you realize how fragile life is, and then you go to her gravesite. So a week after she passed, I went to her gravesite, and so humiliated because not only was she 6 foot under, but she was buried in an unmarked grave. So I yelled out to God, how can this be? It's one thing to die and die like a nobody, like your life was in vain, but it was so humiliating and hurtful that she was 6 foot under with no name marker. I yelled out to God, I never want to be this way. I never want to die a nobody. I want to be a somebody. One day, I want the whole world to know who Greg Soper is. And I don't want Nancy Mitchell's life to be in vain. One day, I want the whole world to know who Nancy Mitchell is. Because I spoke that into being, it became a reality. And then I became a Christian and was gifted with many gifts. Then that just flowed. I was blessed many years of sharing networking events, coffee houses, weddings, funerals, performed in front of thousands of people, shared my testimony. And I look back at it now, Nancy had to go so I could find my soul, but also it taught me about how to connect with people. So when you talk to different people, personalities, and they talk about their areas of expertise, my area of expertise is my resume. I'm a true people person. I know what it's like to lose somebody, and I know what it's like to understand how to connect with people. So then what happened, I studied personalities. I read many books. I love Dr. John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. The gap between the genders, how to communicate with the different styles, different books, the finer points in dancing with the porcupines, how to deal with people. Okay, but you can study all the books, but personalities don't mean anything unless two things. Number one, you need to know their emotional need. And people ask me, what's that, Greg? Isn't like love and making money, emotional needs? To be honest with you, it's really not. People don't get this. So listen very carefully. I'm going to share with you a couple of things that are going to blow your mind. The emotional needs, there's 4 of them. We all have a little bit of each, but you have a dominant one and a secondary. Everything we do in life is based upon your emotional need. And those 4 needs are control, perfection, recognition, and serenity. Once you know a person's emotional need, you're going to build a deeper connection. So my focus on personalities, I want to teach you and empower you to know instantly what your emotional need is and how to identify everyone else's. Also, in the world of business, nobody makes any money. You don't make $1 until somebody makes a decision. So
Right.
therefore, you need to know how people make decisions. It blows my mind that most people have no clue on how people make decisions, because I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. Most people don't make decisions the same way you do. So my analysis with personalities, I'm going to teach you instantly to identify other people's emotional needs. And also you're going to learn how everyone makes decisions. And those two areas are going to accelerate success into all areas of your life. And the area that I do that no one else does, I can reveal your personality instantly, 100% accurately by your signature. I'm currently writing my book. So how does that work, Greg? It's very simple. Your signature comes from your heart. Your heart is only capable of revealing and telling the truth. So every time you sign your name, do a signature, it comes from your heart. It tells me instantly everything about you. It blows me away how accurate this is. It shows you everything, their intensity levels, their personality, temperament, their strengths, their weaknesses. It shows me everything you need to know. And that's what I'm currently doing right now. I'm writing my book. And why is this important? It's because people have to learn the art and the science of communicating. Okay, half of the people in this world are aggressive, half of the people in this world are passive. What does that mean? An active person, they have a quick mind, quick lifestyle. You notice I talk fast. I notice you talk fast. That means we're the aggressive type. That means we have quick minds. We make quick decisions. We have an active lifestyle. Other people are passive. All that means is they make decisions slower. Their pace in life is slower. Then there's also the task-oriented people, which are great at goal setting. And there's the relationship, people-oriented people. They don't care about hitting goals. They don't care about egos. All they care about are friendships, and relationships. So when you realize half of the people in this world are passive, half are aggressive, half are goal-oriented, and half are relationship-oriented, it helps you learn how to connect with all the quadrants of people. So the last thing I'll share with you is just give you an overview, is my gift that I want to empower people is tragedy always does one thing. When adversity strikes, a seed of a greater opportunity will present itself. Because of the tragedy I had in my life, I've had others, but this one allowed me to learn the principle, God doesn't promise you tomorrow. Live every day like it's your last. Be in the moment and learn to be a people person. And once you understand that concept, and then you develop your personality identity, then you're going to realize, wow, that's so true. So I just want to share those golden nuggets with you today. I hope that gives you a little bit more insight of what I do.
Wow, Greg. I'm ready to take notes, right? I'm like over here like, oh, wow, that's so good. That's so good. Because I've heard personalities explained. I've heard DISC, DISC. I've heard the colors, red, blue, yellow, white, all of those. But I've never heard it described like you describe it, especially with your handwriting and your signature. Mm-hmm. Just blows my mind. So I can't wait to read your book, everything. So tell us, like, you're talking about empowering people. Obviously, the two words that describe me the best, and this is actually the call in my life, my God-given call, is empowering freedom. So helping people live abundant lives. And you were talking about networking. I love networking. I love marketing, affiliate marketing. I love the freedom it provides for people. I was just on a walk today to my daughter's school, and I was thinking, man, like, I went to visit a friend. She has a brand new baby at 40, brand new baby. And she literally, like, is the work person, right? And then this new baby's born at her age of 40, 3 weeks old. And she goes, something just switched. Like, I'm talking about maternity leave. And then all of a sudden, now I just want to stay home with this baby. And I'm like, I was there, right? 6 years ago. And so this industry has provided me that. And like you said, like these God-given gifts we have, I wrote a book, I have a podcast, like you, right? Like we're taking steps with our talents and empowering people, changing lives, whether it's one person, whether it's a group of people, a large group of people online, we can't really always estimate that reach, but it's very impactful for the world. And it's like that ripple, right? You throw a rock into the lake, and it makes that ripple. And so that ripple goes out into the world. So I so appreciate your teaching today and just a short glimpse of what you have going on. Would you share with us, the website or how people can get in touch with you so they can hear more of your teachings and your coachings and everything you have available for them?
Absolutely. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to do a live exercise with you in just a minute. I'm going to have you grab a piece of paper. Have you grab a piece of paper, just sign your name. I'm going to reveal your signature for you. So I don't have my website. I have a couple ones that I'm in the process of working on. People right now can contact me. I'll give my number. I don't mind people having my direct number. You can find me on Facebook. I'm making some websites currently, but I have to have my book published by my birthday, which is coming up later this fall. So I'm going to share with you right now, Jessica. I'm going to share something that's going to give you the credibility of what I'm sharing. So when people sign their name, it doesn't matter what it looks like. This is your signature. So all I need to do is have you hold it up so I can take a look at it.
Okay, let me change this view because it blurs out.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't want it to blur out. Hold on one second. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep, I sure do. Okay, that's all I needed to see. It only took me 5 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, great.
Whenever you do signature, there's about 22 signatures with variation of about like 40. So the thing is, once you understand the signatures, then you'll be able to go, okay, I get it. So there's 2 things that stand out about your signature. Number 1, there's a gap between your first and last name. The bigger the gap, the more independent you are. You're a super independent woman, very independent. It also, I'll talk about the personalities. Aristotle's the one that came out with the animals, the lion, the giraffe, the chimpanzee, and the turtle. You're right, there are the colors, the red, blue, yellow, green. Those I refer to both of these because I speak with a lot of groups. So I'm going to share what you are. You're a green. Green. Your emotional needs for perfection. Everything you do is to strive for perfection. You're very well organized. You're very methodical. You have a great routine. Okay. The fact is, when there's a gap between the first and second name, the bigger the gap, the more independent you are. It also tells me that you are what we call, the scientific name is called a melancholy. You have the personality temperament called melancholy. Your strengths are, you're very orderly, you have great organizational skills, you're very methodical, okay? You have a generally high IQ, okay? And you have a great routine. The negative, you're by nature very skeptical, they don't trust people, and the way you make decisions is called validation and confirmation. You have to do your own research. You won't take anyone's word for it. The only way that you make a decision is through validation and confirmation. If I told you 2 + 2 = 4, you still have to validate that. And you're always going to take time. Now, the other part of your signature that stands out, the very last letter of your name is a dragging line. Okay. You've heard this thing called bottom line? Well, that's also the choleric personality temperament. You're also the color red. So when I share this with people, I share them, you're not just a this or a that, or red or a blue or green. You're a combination. Like driving a car, you drive 2 different speeds, city and freeway. Same thing with their personalities. You're born with all 4 personality temperaments, but you have 2 of them that stand out, called a major and a minor. So your combination is, you're a choleric melancholy, the color red and the color green. Okay. Now, as a choleric, that last letter dragging line, it tells me that you're an aggressive achiever. All you care about is results. Okay.
I'm working on that one.
And the fact is, your strengths are, you know how to get the job done. Leave me alone. I don't need anyone to look over my shoulder. Weaknesses are, they're bad listeners, and they consider it a sign of weakness to ask for help. So your signature also reveals how you share your emotions. You write almost vertical. That reveals your emotional chart. What that shows me, you don't really show your emotions. You're what we call poker faced. You're very reserved. You have a lot of self-control, You're not going to go spend a couple $1,000s at Nordstrom's this weekend, okay?
I'm going to the Colorado Springs. Let's hope so.
Yeah, so you have great self-control, and you don't show your emotions freely. They're very reserved. Now, the thing I share with combinations, so your emotional need is, you have a need for control and a need for perfection. And the way the color reds make decisions, all it needs to do is make sense and show me the results. So you have a very unique combination. You're both an aggressive and a passive. which is a unique balance. So your combination, Jessica, you're a choleric melancholy, the color red and green. So you have a perfect balance. You know how to be aggressive and you know how to be passive. You know how to make decisions quickly, but you also have the ability to make decisions slowly. You're also great at goal oriented. I mean, you give yourself any goal, any task, you're going to nail it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it tells me you're a super task oriented person whose emotional needs are for control and perfection. And your weaknesses are, because I know all the weaknesses, the lines, bad listeners, tendency to interrupt and don't follow instructions. And the greens, sometimes they're so skeptical and so jaded, they don't trust anybody. And they have to learn how to get out of their shell. And the thing is, I always tell the greens, remember this thing too. At one time, all your friends were strangers. So you have to bring your walls down sometimes. Okay. So you're what we call a very task-oriented, super task-oriented person. So that's your signature right there.
Thank you. That's great. And so funny because like the perfection side, I'm like, I'm working on that. It's funny because when I'm doing these podcasts, everybody's like, okay, we can talk about it. I'm like, no, let's just get it done. Because normally that perfection side of me, I'm like, okay, let's do this. And it needs to be perfect and you need all these things, right? And so I'm really trying to stretch myself. I always say, God, stretched me so far, only you get the credit, right?
Yeah, nice.
I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's just buckle up, right? Get past the fear, get past the perfectionism, right? And just do it.
Absolutely. Our goal is like in scripture, we're striving for perfection. It's like,
Yeah.
we want to finish the race. So perfection is good. Stamp everything you do in life with excellence. Absolutely. Strive for perfection. But the goal of perfection is not to be perfect. It's to strive to be better every day. Work on yourself. The thing that personality temperaments do too, Jessica. See, I learned this when I was a Christian in church. I was dating a Christian gal, and the pastor just became licensed to be a marriage counselor. And he wanted to use us as a guinea pig. Like, I want to test you guys. And what they do, this is back in the 90s, is they give you a personality profile test. And what does that do? It's a questionnaire, and it measures what you are. They'll say you're a melancholy, you're a choleric. And then what they do, they break down what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are. So the thing is, we go in life and we really don't know what our strengths are. Okay. I had this unique experience in church called Encouragement Sunday. Okay. It's twice a year, they would give out yellow postcards and they would say to the members of the congregation, send out a yellow card and postcard to send out encouragement to people and give them insights of what you feel their strengths are. And because I was an adult Sunday school teacher and stuff, I would get encouragement cards saying, Greg, you're a very great teacher. I love your communication and your teaching. You're a sharp dresser. So when you get these encouragement cards, you go, okay, whatever. I don't really care. I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. But then after a while, you keep getting them. You go, okay, maybe there's something about this. So then you realize, okay, let me accept the feedback. So I'm getting all these encouragements. I'm a sharp dresser. I'm a good teacher. So it taught me at a young age in my 20s that, you know what, you need to have validation what your strengths are. And we in the business, in the game of life, in the business world, we get beat up mentally and emotionally every day. And we need to always be reminded what our strengths are. So I'll always tell people, you need to know what your strengths are. I will share what your weaknesses are, but I really want you to focus on your strengths. And
Right.
all that personal growth is simply learning how to eliminate your weaknesses.
That's great, Greg. Man, this was amazing. Thanks for doing that with me. I appreciate that very much.
Well, you're
It's
very
fun
welcome.
too. Yeah. Doing something fun, something, and it, like you said, like, it's just, you've learned it. Now you're helping people with that. And what you were saying is true, right? Like, it's great. So I definitely,
I'll share one last thing
nice
too. I
person.
really want to drive
Yeah.
this home with one last thing. I shared real briefly my story, but when I lost my soulmate, and then I went to the graveside a week later and I yelled out to God, how can this be? Why did this happen? I never want to die a nobody. I want to be a somebody. One day I want the whole world to know who I am. So I shouted out the principle of creation. You can speak things into being just like Jesus did. People call it the power of manifestation, but I call it the principle of creation. That's why you have to be very careful in life what you speak out loud. Now, I share this now. When I've shared my story so many times in my testimony, I tell people this aspect is that I had a wrestling match with God one day, and our wrestling match was a draw. God took my soulmate and in exchange made me into a wild type of person, because that gave me validation that whenever I share or speak and people are like, wow, that's amazing, it's not about me. It's about
Right.
God working through me. But God
Right.
gave me that confirmation that people always say the word wow, and that gives me the validation and verification of what I spoke into being 40 years ago.
Absolutely. Yes. That's so true, right? Like, I think sometimes we need that validation, but like you said, there's something in all of that. When I was in the business world, it was always like, I need to prepare for this, for the conference call, and I'd have all my notes typed out and all this stuff, right? And then that perfectionism, right? And then when I stepped into entrepreneurship, I had 2 small kids, and I'm like, I don't have time to prepare. Like, frankly, just go, just move, just take action. So I started just moving, taking action, doing things, whether I was ready for them or not, just doing it, taking action, right? And just saying, you know what, like God, like I said, God stretched me so far, only you get the credit. Like Lindsay's like, hey, you need to do these podcasts. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like watching my words, right? I'm like, okay, I accept her, what her, introductions and everything. I'm so appreciative of it. Is it going to be awesome? Yes. But I have to take that action to see and to meet the people and connect with the people and, meet, relationships and all of that, because it does matter. And I feel like like you said, some people are in your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And she's that lifetime person. Seem like the type of person also that's a lifetime type person. It's not just a reason or a season for some people. For you, I see that being a lifetime connection that we've made. So I appreciate you tonight. You've got a busy schedule, so I don't want to keep you too long, but I'll be sharing this with all of our viewers, and I'm so excited for you, and let's just stay in contact, and there's more to come, right? The best is
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessica. What I'll do, I'll come back on another time and we'll get a couple people and I'll just do a random. Hey, you have 3-4 people, do your signature, because I'm going to show you the power of this. And in my book, I'm going to teach you how to read signatures. I'm not going to reveal that to you right now, but I will share some insights. So my main focus today was thank you so much for inviting me.
Well, I want to invite you.
Absolutely.
I want to invite you to my team, because we have a team with our business that we have, online business, e-commerce. You're talking about networking. So we have a great company we're part of, but I would love to have this on our team, because I really feel like what you shared with me was very helpful, and really help our team grow too.
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jessica.